72-hour fasts are incredibly effective for getting your body into ketosis and burning stored fat quickly. But what's the best way to do a 3-day water fast? What should you expect if you've never done one before? And how much weight can you really lose in just 3 days? I'm documenting everything you might experience during a 3-day water fast by doing it myself right now. I'm going to break it down into 3 phases for you so that you'll know exactly how to do a 72-hour fast, what to expect throughout the entire process, and how much weight you might lose. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to point out that I tried to do this fast as perfectly as possible. I went back and reviewed hours worth of information on prolonged fasting, and everything I did is based on my interpretation of what other fasting experts recommend. We'll cover all of this as we get into the fast. Let's talk about phase 1 of your first 3-day water fast, the preparation. When it comes to the prep phase of longer fasts, this is one area I used to fall short, but it's such an important step. In the past, I'd eat however I wanted to leading up to a longer fast because I knew the weight was going to come off pretty quickly anyway. But this made fasting a lot harder because eating a lot of processed carbohydrates and other junk food can lead to cravings, blood sugar crashes, and the keto flu. Now, I'm not saying it's not doable. It's just much tougher, and it's certainly not as perfect as possible. So what I did in preparation for these 3 days was I decreased my carbohydrate consumption for 3 days leading up to the fast. And on the last day before starting the fast, I ate 0 carbohydrates. One of the reasons fasting is easier if you're following a ketogenic diet is because your body will already be used to burning fat for energy rather than glucose. And if you want to do this even more perfectly than I did, you may want to switch to a low or 0 carb diet for a week or 2 leading up to your fast. And you probably recognize that in order to do this, you have to plan for it. So look at your calendar, determine when a 3-day fast fits best into your lifestyle, and reverse engineer it. And now that you have it prepared, it's time to get to it. Okay, it's Sunday, and I'm starting this 72-hour fast after dinner this evening. Now, you can start your fast after any meal on any day that you like, but I found that after dinners on Sundays works best for my schedule because that puts most of my fasting time while I'm working and while I'm sleeping. I haven't eaten any carbs today, just protein and fat. This is going to help with depleting my glycogen stores more quickly, which will help me get into ketosis faster. And for all of those people out there who hate cooking as much as I do, here's my dinner: eggs, ground beef, and cheddar. Yup, I'm a lazy cook. The last thing I need to do today is take my starting measurements. I got a comment on my 48-hour fast video that I didn't share my weight loss results. The answer was literally in the thumbnail, bro. But my starting weight for this fast is 146.8 pounds. But I'm also taking waist circumference measurements, and my waist circumference was 32 inches. And just for fun, this is what my belly looks like when you pinch it. And I'll share the final measurements with you in 72 hours. Phase 2 is the actual fast. I finished dinner at 7 p.m. on Sunday, so I won't be eating again until 7 p.m. on Wednesday. The first part of the day is usually pretty easy. You might experience a little bit of hunger around lunchtime, and this is the perfect time to go outside for a walk to distract you from that hunger. I actually set a goal to walk at least 10,000 steps each day because light exercise can be good for muscle retention, burning more fat, and fighting off boredom. My second best way to fight against hunger and boredom is to stay busy with work throughout the day. I'm only allowing myself to have water during this fast because I want to do this as perfectly as possible. If you've seen my video on a 48-hour fast, I mentioned that I sometimes put heavy cream in my coffee. And while I'm certain that this doesn't affect weight loss because I did this all of the time when I lost 40 pounds in under 3 months, it probably does affect autophagy, which is where your body breaks down inefficient cells and repairs itself. And on that 48-hour fast video, I did get a lot of comments like this. So for this 72-hour fast, I'm literally consuming nothing but water to maximize autophagy and so I don't get any mean comments, unless you want to make fun of my voice. But I can't change that.
Or can I?
If you're wondering how much water you should drink, probably more than you usually do, since you won't be retaining as much of it. I didn't give myself a specific goal for water. I just drank whenever I was thirsty. I have this Hydrate water bottle that tracks how much water you drink in a fancy schmancy app. And this is how much water I drank each day. Something else I did differently for this fast was I stopped drinking coffee 3 weeks ago and I switched to green tea. When I interviewed Shane Idleman, he made some really good points about avoiding caffeine when fasting. So we're gonna see if this helps. Lastly, I decided to log this fast using a free app called Life, mainly because it allows you to track your mood throughout the duration of your fasts. So we'll get to see how my mood changed as I progressed during these 72 hours. And my mood was just fine for the first 23 hours, but then the trouble began. 6 p.m. on day 1, and I'm on the struggle bus. I'm really hungry. I knew this was gonna be tough. I'm gonna push through this. I'm walking, obviously, to get my mind off of thinking about eating and get myself out of the house. It had been so long since I'd done a longer fast that my body was not great at switching back into ketosis. I was unusually hungry around dinner time, and I felt pretty fatigued. So I added some salt to a glass of water and chugged that down. And while the fatigue didn't go away immediately, I did feel significantly better about an hour later. And by the time I went to bed, I felt fine. I had hit my 10,000 steps for the day. I drank nothing but water and a teaspoon of salt, and I went to sleep happy that I had pushed through the challenging hours of that evening. And on day 2, I woke up feeling pretty good. My weight had already dropped by 2.7 pounds. And I didn't feel any hunger that morning. This is a good time to point out that when you do longer fasts, you will lose weight really quickly. Now, a good amount of these pounds will be water weight because as you burn through your stored glycogen, your body also releases a lot of stored water. This is one reason why low-carb diets can lead to such rapid weight loss, because carbohydrates make you retain water. It's literally in the name, carbohydrate. And while it's impossible to know how much body fat versus water weight you're losing, general estimates put it around 0.5 pound to 1 pound of body fat lost per every day you fast. That's significantly higher than standard calorie restriction, which has you lose that much in an entire week. Not to mention, around the 24-hour mark of fasting, you'll have burned through all of your stored glycogen and you'll switch into ketosis. Now, I hit ketosis a little sooner than 24 hours because I didn't eat any carbs the day before. But if day 1 was pretty rough, how did day 2 go? So we are 42 hours in, and y'all, I'm worried because I feel really good. Like, I don't have any hunger, haven't experienced any hunger whatsoever ever since waking up this morning. I'm starting to think that yesterday, around the 24-hour mark, where it was really tough for me, I was having a lot of hunger, I was just feeling pretty miserable. It was probably when my body was switching into fat burning mode. So I burned through all of my stored glycogen, all of my stored glucose, and my body was switching over to burning fat, and it was just really rough. But today I feel amazing so far. So I've already got 11,000 steps in, so walking pretty much is done. I'll probably end up hitting around 15,000 steps today. I'm gonna head back, get some work done while I'm feeling good. Hands down, this was the easiest fast I've ever done. I used to get jealous when people told me that after the 24-hour mark, fasting was euphoric and their hunger disappeared, because that was never the case for me. But it was for this fast. I really didn't think about food at all because I wasn't really hungry after that first day. I even felt euphoric around the 48-hour mark, and my wife eating dinner in front of me didn't bother me one bit. I even did over 20,000 steps on day 2 because I had so much energy. But something really strange happened around the 50-hour mark. One of the many interesting benefits of fasting is the natural boost in growth hormone that tends to peak around the 48-hour mark. This is one of the reasons you don't lose large amounts of muscle mass when you fast, because your body protects against it by increasing growth hormone. But as my insulin levels began to get to their lowest, my heart rate increased. This can happen due to increases in another hormone called adrenaline. It's these increases in adrenaline that can sometimes affect your ability to sleep well during longer fasts. That second night, I think I only got around 4 hours of sleep, which isn't great since sleep is highly important for weight loss, but there wasn't too much I could do about it. And I woke up on day 3 feeling just as good as I did on day 2. My morning weigh-in showed I was down to 139.3 pounds. That's 7.5 pounds lost so far. Think about that. Traditional dieting would have you spend 7 to 14 weeks losing that much weight. And while it isn't all fat that you're losing, how motivating would it be for you to lose 7 or more pounds in the next 3 days? And I'm down about ½ an inch on waist circumference. And I'm not even done yet. Here's how day 3 went for me. I only have a few hours before my 72-hour fast is ending. Honestly, I don't even want to stop because I feel that good. But I have to stop because I promised you guys a 3-day fasting video, not a random number of how many days I feel good for, and because I have to start my new workout challenge tomorrow, and I kind of need to be eating for that one. But this 3-day fast has honestly been amazing. I'm probably going to do all of my fasts like this moving forward because I really can't believe how easy the last 2 days have gone. Okay, so one more weigh-in before we eat tonight. My weight is currently at 138.5 pounds, so 8.1 pounds lost since Sunday. I'll do one more weigh-in and final measurements tomorrow morning because there's one final thing to take care of with this longer fast. Something else that I haven't been super strategic about in the past, which is phase 3. Breaking your fast or refeeding. With a 48 to 72 hour fast, I've not found the need to break it slowly in the past. I typically just eat a large meal per usual and I feel just fine. But this time I wanted to ease back into eating. Now the advice here is conflicting depending on who you ask. Some say to eat cooked veggies or a piece of fruit. Others say to focus on protein. I'm going with protein because I care about muscle mass and because I just activated autophagy, and to rebuild the cells that were broken down, I think protein is of highest importance. It's totally bizarre, but I'm literally not even hungry right now. It is 73 hours and I am about to cook my meal to break this fast. So probably be about 73.5 hours when I'm all said and done. All I'm going to eat tonight to break my fast is this steak right here. It's probably about 12 ounces in total. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to eat it slowly, and that's all that I'm going to have. Oh, and yes, I am going to cook it a little bit first. But then I'll take final measurements tomorrow morning and I'll report back on what the results for this fast have been. It's the morning after breaking my 3-day water fast. But before I share my final results with you, I want to be honest. Your 3-day fasts may not go as easy as this one went for me. Aside from that 24-hour mark, which kinda sucked, I personally never experienced such an easy fast in my entire life. But I do think that reducing carbs beforehand, cutting caffeine, and incorporating light exercise all contributed to making this fast successful. And if you're a bit hesitant to try a longer fast right away, I do have a free Jumpstart into Intermittent Fasting guide, which you can download in the description. This will quickly get you to the place where you're ready to try a longer fast. I also have a video on how to begin intermittent fasting, which I'll link up at the end of this video. Stop promoting your own stuff, Justin. Let's get to the stuff that everyone wants to know. What were my final results? My day 4 weigh-in was 138 pounds. That's 8.6 pounds lost in total. Final waist circumference measurement was 31 to 31.5 inches. So somewhere between half an inch to 1 inch less than when I started. And my belly fat, when I pinch it, looks like this. And if you're wondering about my change in voice, it sounded something like, I feel good, didn't know that I would, so good, I feel good.